Well, hello there. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it. So we bought this house several years ago, the basement of which I'm sitting in right now. In fact, that was one of the selling features for me for this home, was that it had an unfinished basement. Definitely wanted an unfinished basement, obviously. Needed room for my shop. Nonetheless, it's a spec home. Decent builder here in the Midwest. The house had sat idle for a while, so we feel good about the deal we got on it. But being, this particular spec home in this situation, the builder put minimal, and I mean minimal upgrades into the property, which again, I thought, fine, that just gives more of a blank slate for me to do upgrades and stuff, things I like to do. So when we moved in, one of the first rooms I knew I was going to want to touch is the walk-in closet off of the master suite. It's a fairly good-sized room, and in that room, the builder had installed that wire racking, that white wire racking that you often see in rooms like this. Nothing against that stuff. It's good. It works. It does its job. But what I didn't know beforehand is that there must be different levels of quality of this wire racking that's available in the market. And whatever the good stuff is, that's not what we got, which is fine. Again, it did its job. It held up our clothes and whatnot. But after a year or two, our closet looked like this. And yes, the pictures are blurry on purpose. So eventually I'd had enough. I decided it was time to pull the trigger and start this project. However, I knew early on I didn't want this to be some long, drawn-out project where I'm bringing half my tools or a bunch of tools up to the bedroom, making sawdust, throwing around glue and clamps in an effort to get this thing done. Had no interest in that. I wanted to make a quality product relatively easily, as if I had perhaps bought it as a kit from that Swedish home goods store that we all know really well, with the name that rhymes with idea, just in case I get in trouble. And with a little research, I found such a product, which is what I'm going to go through today in this video. And because of these tools, I was able to take our closet from, again, this to this. And the tools I'm going to use today are from Festool. But this video I am in no way being sponsored by Festool. I mean, obviously. This is like my third video in this little project thing I'm doing, so believe me. I paid for these with my own dime, full price at a distributor. So not a endorsement by Festool. Likewise, this is not a product review. The tools that I'm going to be using in this demonstration have a much broader range of application than I use them for. I just simply wanted to share with you how these tools helped me complete this project. And that's it. So I hope you get something out of it. Let's get started. Okay, so here are the Festool tools I'll be using. And actually, I've been calling them tools, but really, that's the tool, the domino joining system. And this is actually an accessory for that tool. These are the fasteners, the various fasteners that come in this accessory, most of which I'll be using for this project. So these are what they call dominoes, tenons or floating tenons. I'll be using those. I'm actually not going to be using everything in here except for these two things here. Again, this system has a broader range of application than I'll be using for this project. So these two fasteners components I won't be using, but I'll be using these, basically everything else. And this is actually a drill attachment I'll be using, and you'll see how it comes together as the project starts. And this is the domino joiner. If you are familiar with biscuit joiners, this looks similar. You actuate the wood removal or cutting process in a similar fashion. And that's basically where the similarities end for the most part. If you're familiar with the biscuit joiner, again, it's the cutting tool is more of a, if I can get this in focus, is more of a mini saw blade, whereas this is more like a spiral cutting bit. And in the wood removal process for the biscuit joiner, that bit oscillates back and forth to create a slot that will hold this domino. It's funny, when I first saw this tool, it seemed like a pretty violent cutting process. But with a firm grip, it's easy to keep this tool under control. And again, I'll show you how that works. And I'll just be using this as a guide. The other stuff, again, I won't be using. I use some of it for the larger project, but for this small model I'm gonna put together, I'm just gonna use this. And again, you'll see once I get started. Actually, one other thing I want to show you before I start on making the little cabinet I'm gonna make. Just want to show you this panel in this accessory for the domino, which shows you the different ways you can use these fasteners. And again, this isn't a product review, but I just used this method for this project. I felt it was the simplest way for me to go, especially working alone. And the plywood that I purchased wasn't pre-drilled. I used another accessory to drill my own hole, so they weren't pre-drilled for me. So that one really wasn't going to work. So again, for this project, for the closet project, I just used that method, which again allowed me to make this without using everything in the box. So, all right. So here is some pre-finished maple. This is actually scrap from that project. And I've cut some pieces here to make a small model of one of the cabinet bays. And I've gone ahead and marked up what's what, so when I start cutting, I know what I'm doing. These are marks I've used forever. I read someplace to designate the inside of cabinets, so I've marked the inside. These arrows tell me where the fronts will be. Obviously, left and right. This is the left piece and the right piece for the bay. And I've gone ahead and marked out some center lines. That'll become apparent what those are for as I go along. And these lines I've put on these pieces to let me know where I will come back at the end and cut the rabbet joints to attach the backs for the cabinets. Okay, so I've gone ahead and clamped up one of the cabinet sides. So what I'm going to do now is use the domino joiner to cut 3 holes in the top and bottom of each cabinet side. And those holes, the 2 on the outside, will be used to hold fastener components to assemble the cabinet, and the center hole will be used to hold one of the dominoes used in the construction for alignment and strength. So I've gone ahead and adjusted the depth and height of cut on the domino. So now I'll go ahead and just start cutting. Let me show you how this is. And I've added this attachment to the base of the domino to help me with control. And I'm not just guessing from the front and back where to cut. There are stops on the base to help me guide. So just so you know. Okay, so now I have the bottom piece of the cabinet clamped up. And what I'm going to do is use the domino joiner to cut, again, 3 holes in the edge of this bottom piece. And again, the 2 outside holes that I'm going to cut will hold the mating fastener pieces from the domino joining system. And this center slot is going to, again, hold the mating floating tenon. And again, I think I might have said this, I've already adjusted the depth of cut on the domino. And also you'll notice that I flipped over the inside face of this bottom piece to face down so that the fence on the domino is referencing the same side of the cabinet as I referenced when I cut these slots. You know, I had the fence on this side so that when I assemble the cabinet, all the pieces made up. And one thing, when I cut the center slot for the floating tenon, there's a little adjustment knob here. Maybe you can focus in. And these marks here reference or tell you how wide, you know, I say that piece is oscillating. It selects or determines how wide that slot is. And whenever I'm putting two pieces together like this mating, I'm going to cut this slot on this piece a little wider so that when I'm assembling the cabinet, I'm not worried about these center pieces being exact. Because I know the ends, since I use the stop as a reference to cut these, I know they're in alignment. And I'm not so worried about this again. I'm not even going to glue that center domino in. This is just for strength and alignment. So let's go. Okay, so now I've cut the 3 slots on the ends of the top and bottom pieces. So the last thing I need to do is cut a couple of holes on the face of these pieces for additional fastening components. And you might recall one of the things in this in the Knockdown fastening accessory that goes with the domino joiner that came with the kit is this, let's get in focus, this drilling piece is like a guide, and there is a bit that goes along with it. Make sure I get it in focus. That connects to the dust extractor, just for dust control. And this just helps to guide both the location and depth of cut of these holes, again, on the faces for the fastening components. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and show you what it looks like. So I've cut these 2 holes in the face of the top piece, and I've kind of laid out the fastening components so you can see how the piece is starting to come together. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut additional holes on the other sides of the top and bottom pieces, and then we can start putting this together. Now all of the holes and slots and whatnot are where they should be, hopefully. So now what I'm going to start doing is just putting all the fastening components in the parts of the cabinet before, obviously, we assemble it. So let me just start doing that. And these fasteners actually take these little screws as part of the assembly. But if you've ever used, like, what do they call them, like butterfly bolts or drywall anchors that you drill a hole in drywall, you stick this thing through the hole and tighten it, and the wings pop out to secure it. This kind of works in a similar way. I don't know if you can see that or not. But when we put this into the slot and start tightening it, those members on the side are going to fan out to help hold it in place. And there's a little indentation on the end of these where a set screw will hold it in place. So you just want that facing up where the set screw is going to be. Oh, what did I miss? Oh. Two more. So now we're going to drop these little, I don't know, they're called things, nuts or something like that, into the holes, and then these pieces will go into the slot to sandwich them in place. And then the protruding piece here on the sides will go into the slot there, and again a little set screw will hold the cabinet together. So let me do that. All right. And so now if I did this correctly, this should all go together. And you can see as I tighten it how the cabinet pulls together. So this is the finished model. And as I mentioned earlier on, if I were doing this for real, what I would have done before I assembled the cabinet is go ahead and, cut out the rabbet along the inside edges here and install the backs. And when I made this project for our closet, I used 1/4-inch pre-finished maple for the backs, and I screwed it into the back of the cabinets versus using a brad nailer or something like that. And the reason being, if you ever, throw a suitcase or a gym bag or something like that into this cabinet, it'd be easier to knock out the back if you just nailed it. Because if that happened, you could probably never fix it once the cabinets are installed. And this is just a picture from the actual project while I was working on it. It shows just a stack of cabinet tops and bottoms. And before starting this project, I went shopping for closet hardware just to make sure that I could find baskets, pant racks, and shoe fences at lengths that would allow me to make every bay identical in width, except for the one next to the end down there, which I call the makeup cabinet, just to fill up the length of the room. I hope you found this useful. If so, please like and subscribe to my channel so you can be notified of future episodes. Until then, so long.